Designing and building your custom dream home isn't fast or easy, but it is one of the most rewarding goals you can achieve. Today, you'll learn best practices when working with an architect, trending design materials, and what to expect with construction costs and timelines when building your custom home.
Welcome to Elevate, where we explore the latest in elevated living. Hear from the local artisans, business owners, and innovators that make Las Vegas extraordinary, and whose stories and insights will help you live your best life.
This is episode 5 with Quinn Bosnecker, owner and principal of Pinnacle Architectural Studio. So how did it all begin with Pinnacle?
Well, listen, I got to tell you, it began much younger than people would think. I was in high school, specifically 14, and ended picking up an elective, drafting, by mistake, by the way. And they had a couple of computers back in the room, locked up, never open, spider webs, the whole story you hear. And I was fortunate enough to be able to get the key to that room at night and spent every night in there because that was just a fun video game to me to learn the computers. And that was 14. And by the time I was 16, I was headhunted as the kid in town that could teach people that were drawing by hand to draw on a computer.
Wow.
Then there starts the journey. Picked up at 16 by houseplans.com. That was a great 4-year run. And then again, headhunted by a local firm that was probably the biggest firm in town, Richard Luke. Had a great run at his office, fantastic office, great learning experience. Somewhere between working on the computers and learning the architecture end, I realized that's where I wanted to be. And so a little over 22 years ago, went on my own, started Pinnacle Architectural Studio, and the rest is kind of history.
Wow, it's been 22 years already.
Yes.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Congrats.
Thank you.
So let's just start from the beginning. If someone's looking to build a home, what are some best practices?
I do highly recommend to potential buyers that they pick the lot with their builder, architect, and or both. It's great for them to do that because we look at lots differently than the average person would. We're looking at views. We're looking at size of the lot. How much can we fit on it? Where are the pitfalls? Where are the problems? What are the great things about it? So it would be important for us to get the first look at it and give them feedback on what we think which lot they should buy.
Got it. So it seems very common for me as a real estate agent where people tell me the story of how they just drew it on a napkin and it all began there.
Yes.
And to me, as an agent that generally gets to tour these homes and sell them quite often, whether I'm representing a seller, I'm with a buyer touring a home, what I often see are custom mistakes because look, this person is wealthy. They've excelled in life to be able to, afford and build this home. This is their most likely first time building, maybe just their second. And I don't know about you, but my first time in ceramics class, wasn't so hot. So it almost seems like what are people doing? Are they just getting their plans drawn and they're not getting any insight from designers or what's happening?
I will tell you that game has changed here. So there used to be a lot of people that would buy plans, online. They would try to draw their own, and that was the way things went for a while. But really, what you should rely on is the architect to lead you in the direction of the house. For example, for us, we have our clients put together what we call a laundry list. Mm-hmm. And then we create any one of different avenues, whether it be Houzz, Pinterest, sharing photos on Apple, any way we can. So we can start openly discussing styles, likes, dislikes through pictures. Because the problem is if I say contemporary and you say modern, we're not necessarily thinking the same thing. But when we're looking at a picture and we're sharing these pictures with each other constantly throughout the project, we have a discussion where we're finally talking about the same things, even when we're not. I do think, and in addition to that, I think it's very important that you actually get along with your architect, meet a few. I mean, make sure you have some rapport with them. Make sure you can tell them no. Make sure it's somebody, there's a lot of good architects out here. Make sure the ones you interview that you really have a personal connection with, that goes a long way in our firm.
So some just additional nuts and bolts. So let's just say they are going to build a new custom home and they haven't bought a lot yet. And so they're going to reach out and let's say they choose to work with you. So generally start to finish, assuming they find their lot, within a month or two and, the process goes along relatively smoothly. What does that timeline look like?
So when a client walks into our office, we're generally telling them somewhere in the 4 to 6 month range just to have plans. We're telling them another 3 to 3.5 months just for county submittals or city submittals. So you're looking at, and the size and difficulty of the house will vary, but you're always looking at about a 1.5 year build. We have some that are done a little faster and a few that are done a little longer. So we'll go for houses that'll be done in 14 months to some that are taking 3 years. It depends upon the complexity of the house, the lot. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
Got it. And then, so are you there up until pretty much the end in case there's like change orders and like they want to tweak something, or once your plan, or could you say if they didn't want to change anything, once their plans are approved, you're sort of out of the picture, they're done unless they need something else?
Absolutely not. So we are there until they turn that key and move into that house.
Oh, wow.
So we've, our firm in particular, we set ourselves up for architecture doing interiors because we want our inside to blend with the architecture on the outside. We're going as far as doing construction administration where we oversee a builder building a job. So we're out there until the client literally walks in, turns his key and walked in the house. And even then we're shifting stuff around. So we live with this client for 5 years. I mean, I tell all my clients that you'll be living with me for 3 to 5 years, and it's usually 5.
Wow.
Yeah. They got to like me or don't.
So typically, I mean, it could be a range or whatever, but typically, what are the costs associated with?
So again,
project?
that's a little widespread now, but you can say we're not seeing anything done for less than about $700 a foot, maybe mid 60s range, and we're going upwards of $1,200-$1,300 a foot on the houses. So
Got it. For then that's all in. So as far as the fee, like on your end, how does that work?
So our fees on our end,
yeah.
our fees are $15 a foot for
Okay.
architecture. And that's the nuts and bolts of the house, the plan layout, site planning, elevations, the look of the house. And then we charge another $15 a foot for interiors. That's every single material is called out. This countertop is called out. This is how it's designed. This is how it's cut. This is how it makes an edge. Cabinets, handles, switches, lighting, everything. So we actually do those two things. And we tell the clients you don't have to use us for those, but we offer them. And it's great because as we're going through a house, we can keep doing this. Construction administration is where the client just wants to see the house executed as it was designed. So then we get hired on for that service. And that's a as you need us kind of hiring. If you think you need us more, and we kind of direct that. And of course, last off, they end up wanting us to furnish it when this is all done.
Oh, of course. I figured.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say at $700 a foot just for architecture. No wonder why those Summit homes are so expensive.
That was for building costs, by the way.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yes.
So essentially, you've been doing this for a long, long time.
Long time. Yes.
So please let our viewers know, what is one of the biggest mistakes you see clients make?
I do see clients get into a job, and it doesn't have to be with another architecture firm. It could be with the house plan company online. It could be them drawing it themselves. Generally, somewhere where they paid money to somebody else, and then they stay with that process because they go, I already have this much invested in it. I have to keep going. It's one of the largest mistakes. And actually, I've seen it turn around to be one of the best things clients think they ever did when they say, you know what, I have to cut what I'm doing here, step back and look at, who should really be doing this. And it's not even the fault of the person before. It just maybe wasn't the person for their job. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a huge mistake. I love to see clients correct that when it happens.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we have that in real estate as well. So.
Right.
So what's the biggest project you've been involved with?
So the biggest square footage project would be 50,000 feet and in Saudi Arabia. So that was for one of the sheiks up there. Mm-hmm. And he currently is living in a 35,000 feet. Apparently was not quite big enough. So we had to get up there and beef that up a little bit. So that would be the single biggest house that we've worked on. Here we've been in the 25,000s, the 28,000s. So they're large by no means, but 50,000, when you double that, it's a much different house.
How long of a project was it? How long were you there?
It's still ongoing.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Is there an ETA on the finish line on that?
No.
As long as the oil prices are staying up, I'm sure there's
that's what fluctuates that house. It's been slow down. Okay, go again. Let's
Sagrada Familia. It's a Gaudi.
Exactly right. That's correct. Yes.
That's too funny. What I know we've talked about maybe mistakes buyers have made, but has there ever been just a crazy problem where like a house was halfway built and it just had to be stopped or redesigned, or all of a sudden somebody realized that the trusses weren't going to be able to hold this roof deck. I don't know, something crazy that maybe it was something you had to fix, or
we've had a lot. We've had our craziest thing happening is usually client driven. So and bless their heart, they'll have a plan for a house that they want. And whether it's from the time they started, they made more money, or something changes in their life where they need more rooms, something like that. We've had house started literally under construction and had to stop framing one half of the house because, we're going to change everything over here, but keep framing on this side so we don't lose any momentum. And we have done that a few times. We've had houses stop and clients say, can I put a basement in that underneath this house now? And I say, anything can be done.
Right.
What's feasible? What do you really want to do? Or what are you trying to really achieve? And then we work around that.
Yeah. Well, and that's where it just sounds like having all these sort of the team assembled on the front end, with architect and designer and builder is going to just help get it to the finish line so much smoother. Because it seems like the biggest hidden expense for people are the overruns that happen with these, because the buyer, the new homeowner thinks, I just want to put this over here. Can we just move this wall? And all of a sudden they get hit with this bill to change it. And why is that bill so much? All of a sudden?
And there has to be full transparency with clients. I mean, to us, that's a big deal. We do the right job, do the best design. A lot of great designers in town. We feel confident we do great design, but really take care of that client. Be honest with them. This is what's going to cost you to do this house. Protect them if somebody tries to take advantage of their situation. That's a big deal in our company. It's kept us going. Besides just having great people that we work with, having great clients, but really being there for them and taking them all the way through, and they're comfortable.
Well, and I could see that's where, in the oversight process, having so much experience, you are aware in general what bids should be in general. Yeah. So they're not at the mercy of, whatever. They've got you to help take care of them.
Yes.
So where do you see architectural trends going?
Well, that's a great question, because when Summit came into play probably 5 years ago, and I was called by realtors, banks, and everybody saying, hey, what do you think about these lots that are going to start at $5 million? I said, no chance in Vegas. And I was wrong. I was dead wrong. Yeah. And so goes the Summit. I do see more people spending more money in custom homes, and having had Pinnacle for 22 years, I see more money being spent on homes than I've ever seen in the last 3 years, and I've seen in my entire career.
Wow.
So Vegas has changed, and Summit's a big part of it, but really it's happening across the board. People are bringing real, big money here, whether they're coming from California or from New York or from wherever they're coming from, or they're just here. They've just been here and they decided to, it's time to, build what I've wanted to. It's a combination of everything, but Vegas is going to be, I think this market's going to keep going. I know there's a slowdown, but I think in our client base with so many cash buyers, I think it's very hard to put a ripple in that market at this level, but I could be wrong. But definitely, I feel very confident about the market. All of our clients, even the lower budget ones, which is still high, and the very high budget ones, they all move forward. This market has not slowed them down a bit.
That's great.
So it's great for us to see that.
Yeah.
So coming back to, seeing people invest more in their homes in the last 3 years than you've seen in your career here, what are they spending that money on?
So they're doing, I would say, more trick homes, a lot more lighting, a lot more, and a lot of materials that are super, super high end. I mean, all rolled metal roofs, lots of copper. The technology part of the houses are beyond what we've ever seen before. Of course, water, as long as we can get this water deal going where we're at, waterfalls everywhere through the house before you come in the courtyard. I mean, a lot of new systems, GHB systems, gas-powered systems that are pricey but will save money in the end. Great materials. I mean, just wonderful, wonderful materials that weren't really available before, and now they are, and they're available at a cost. But it's awesome. The houses are truly they're picking up the highest end window package to the highest end flooring, the best appliances they can put in, and they're building at a grand scale to top all this off. So
Yeah, no, it's so cool. I mean, when I first started in 2003, I mean the custom home, I mean the range was quite big, but generally they were just almost like a tract home on steroids to some degree, just bigger but in customized plan. But that finish level sort of made an appearance in 2007, 8 when the prices were up there, and it's really neat to see it now. I saw this. I mean, I guess I've seen it before, but not aware what it was. Rammed earth. What is it?
Yeah, so rammed earth is great. I mean, it's if you see it, the way it looks like sand in a column, and it just has the lines of sand as if it was poured into a container, and you just see all the lines, the beauty of lines of sand. It doesn't hold a great deal of structure. You'll see the structure built inside of it, but it's literally pounding, for lack of a better word, pounding sand into place to make it hard until it creates a column, structure, wall, whatever you like. But it creates a beauty of sand, like the sand of a dune or the sand of a desert. You see it in the wall itself. It's pretty awesome.
So you just don't want to get the wall wet then?
Yeah, well, there's things in place to keep that from happening. Yeah. Really keep it from falling apart. But good question, yeah.
So what are you working on now that you're excited about?
Man, we've got a few in the Summit. We've really got them all over town. We've got houses in California, Dallas. But really what I'm seeing here is there's some clients that are challenging us with not just come and blow our money, but we want something different than what we see. If they feel like they're seeing a lot of the same stuff, we want something different, but very cool. And we really don't, it's easy to go in and spend 4 times the amount of money and do that. The challenge is, how can we do that and keep them within the same budgets that everybody else is at, or at least relative? And that's been a great challenge for us, and we rose to that challenge. We know enough about construction as a firm, a lot. Built my own houses, spec houses, all that stuff. The firm built for a while. So we feel very confident when we tell somebody that this is how it's built. We work with the engineers. We know the finish guys. We know the roofers. We know what it takes to really put together a house. So we stretch everything to the limit. We push it, but it's really to get a better house for our client in the end. Okay. So when he looks at his house, he knows, yes, it does look different. Man, that looks awesome. Oh, this is fantastic. And really, sometimes they just look at it as a whole and don't know why. And it's all these little things we did to make that house come together.
Yeah, that's just sort of like that bespoke, whether it's the Bentley or the custom suit, where it's like great design is just almost minimalist on some level.
Yep. And some people don't know why it's that great. They just look at it and go, that's really cool. And I can sit there and start telling them, and they may get it, they may not, but that's right. It does absolutely speak for itself. And timeless is a key factor when you can do it.
So you mentioned that some projects take several years, 3 to 5 years. So what happens if at the beginning of the project, a client chooses certain finishes or certain materials, and by the time the project is coming to fruition, those materials are no longer, hot, for lack of a better word?
And that's pretty common because when the projects go on that long, we have a couple of issues. One, we actually will see products, unless we buy them and store them, they'll actually go out of style completely. It's a product that was here, and guess what? It's not here in a year, and we have a 3-year project. So all of a sudden, we have to switch our stone out. I do tell clients, because we work on, this is really true for interiors as well as exteriors, is when I design something for them, and we design something for them, I tell them, I say, listen, if I see something that's better for your house and we're a year down the road, I'm not going to not let you have that, because I do think it's the right choice. And I'll tell you, you know what? This has to change. Why? Because it's the right choice. Here's why it's the right choice. So I always try to give my clients the whys of everything, not just because I said so. And it's worked out well. The builders don't like to hear it sometimes because they know that I may be adjusting something, but I understand building, so I'll do it in the right time. But I told the client, you will always get the best I know of that I can get you, even if I have to change stuff on you. So they've been very happy with that. They like hearing that, and it's worked out well.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So on that vein, what kind of new materials are you seeing now?
So, it's the new materials. Listen, great. We're using a lot of steel, a lot of metal. we're seeing a lot of wood products that are coming out that I hate to even call them faux wood products like longboard. That's a really high end wood exterior product, but it's not wood, it's metal. Nobody wants maintenance in these houses. We're looking at stucco patterns that are now mimic wood, and they're almost bulletproof. We're seeing some cool stuff. Of course, we're all seeing all the energy saving. Almost everybody's doing solar, going to gas powered systems on their HVAC. These are all, everybody's being mindful of saving energy. Whether they need to or not, they're doing that. Backup generators as well. What we try to do in design is we think timeless in design, and that's very hard to do. And we don't always hit it right on, but we don't look at, what material is going to be good in a year or 2 years. We look at what's going to do good over time. So we're looking for something that when you look at it 15 years later, we know that house was timeless. And we do have clients that want to build in that moment of building. Some clients, hey, I want my house to look like a casino. The other one, I want it to look very Asian. I want curled up roofs. Okay, cool. That and that may be timeless, may not. That's what they want. But if some client comes and says, I want cool design that's timeless, it's quite a challenge, but very doable. And you don't have to worry about materials from today or tomorrow. You have to worry about where to apply them and how to apply them and how to put these things together to make it timeless.
I have a follow-up question
Yes.
to that. So given what's going on with the water situation,
Yes.
are you seeing any kind of cistern systems, that kind of thing being built into homes?
Not yet. So this is brand new. So what we tried to do originally was argue scale, because if you're offering a 600 square foot house to or 600 square foot pool to a 1,200 square foot house, and the same 600 square foot pool to a 12,000 square foot house, we didn't think the scale was fair. However, that didn't work for us. So what we're doing is looking at now water abatement. For example, we're taking away the things that take water. And we're working with the water district, with the county, with anybody we can to try to give them real value for it. Hey, if we take out the AC unit and use gas powered, we are not going to lose near as much water as a pool. So can we gain that back for the pool? We won't have any grass in the back. So can we pull that and gain it back for the pool? So we're trying to trade off. Everybody's trying to work through this. So it's a tough issue, but at least we're all trying to do something besides just put our foot down and say, this is what we want, and that's it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Along the conversation of making things timeless to some
Yes.
degree, unless clients want something super specific, do you ever look at plans and just sort of make recommendations on things they should do just to make the house more sellable down the road? Now, of course, they might not agree with them, but just say, hey, look, we really should do X, Y, and Z just because.
Yeah, I have a great answer for that. And I tell my clients this all the time. So I was fortunate enough to start out in the spec business for some of the big spec builders here. And also did spec homes myself. So having done so many houses, besides spec, I do get to see what the general public likes at this level. So I do tell the clients, I say, listen, I will design this for you, for your needs, but I will make it so that when anybody walks into your house, they're comfortable. It feels right. It's proportionate. And I will suggest things for resale, even though you don't have a plan for resale, because that way, if you do, there it is. And it's not going to change what they ask for. I'm just doing a layout that I think is more comfortable. And I tell the clients, listen, if you want to stick a purple elephant in that corner, I will do it for you, but I will tell you why I won't do it. And you can decide. So I'm very good about giving the clients whys. Here's why I do this. Here's why. And they that sinks in. They get it. They go, oh, I didn't think about that. I get it. And if they have a valid argument for what I think, I'll take it, because I'm not about being right. I'm about the best product.
Beautiful. And if I can put in one recommendation for all your clients, the more garages, the better these days.
There you go.
100%.
Yes. So what's the biggest risk you've taken?
The biggest risk I would say I've taken is I had to. Oh, it's a very interesting story, but I had to select a flooring for a client, 22,000 feet of 3x3 limestone flooring, and so the risk wasn't so much flying out to Portugal to pick it. I couldn't get it flown in here, and I couldn't get enough options flown in, so I went there, and I had the quarry put 5 different types of limestone, mainly the one I wanted, at 300 feet of each in their warehouse. So when I got there, when I looked at the one we had picked, when I saw it in person, it had grooves in it. It had some problems with it. It was softer than I thought it was going to be. The samples were great. These weren't. This was really coming out. But 2 piles over, there was a great one. So we hit it with the stain, dumped coffee on it, put grape juice on it, pretty much beat it up quite a bit. And it fared well, looked awesome. So I had to call the owner and say, okay, your entire floor is going to change and it's under construction. And this is beautiful. I can't love it enough. Can you come out here? And he said, no, I trust you. Just go ahead and pick it. So that was I was pretty sure I was right, but imagine that. It's nerve wracking. That's a over $500,000 purchase just in one, okay, or not. Or if they hate it, well,
And you still have both your legs. So
yes, that's right.
Something that worked out.
That one did work out. It actually turned out incredible. One thing they talk about in there is that story. So
cool.
That's awesome.
How often do you find yourself having to travel, not necessarily out of the country, but just anywhere to revisit materials or design
Quite
ideas?
a bit. Quite a bit. We'll go to, there's regular trips like to Wolf Sub-Zero to Madison.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great trip because we get to go there and give design input with Wolf Sub-Zero on their products. It's very cool. They take us through their shop, show us how it's built. So when you're selling somebody on something, you really understand what you're selling, not just, well, that Viking looks better than this wolf or this, vice versa. Okay. You're understanding the product you're actually selling. Very helpful. We get invited to a lot of factories, stone factories, wood factories. So, you name it. The cool thing is most of them come to us. They'll come to us. They can bring a pretty heavy presentation to us. Obviously, Wolf has their entire factory there, so we have to go. But what we do is if we don't think we got enough out of the presentation they brought, then we can go to Arizona or go wherever we need to see what they got. So, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So how hands-on do you let clients be in their project?
I'm very open with clients, and they start to see very quickly how this process works. The first thing I ask them to do is I call it a laundry list. It's really a list of your wants and needs. Mm-hmm. I find out how they live now. Let's go to your house. Show me how you live. Do you have guests? Do you have kids? Do you have animals? You got to kind of understand them well. Before we even start, I take them to their lot and I show them why I'm picking this direction to go to the house, or why I'm putting the garage on this side so I don't see it, why my views are off of this side, and what potentially could get in their way. Worst cases, best cases. So I put an overall just rough, before even drawing, a rough idea of how it's going to come together for them. Because a lot of clients will come with a sketch and I'll tell them, hey, tell me what elements you like about this, and I'll try to work with it. In the end, I do, but at least I know what they're thinking. And then I can take them and go, okay, so I take my clients through the very basic bubble diagrams that I do, which means circles on paper. It's not a real layout yet. It's just this is here, this is here, this is here. This is how your lot's filling up. So I take my clients through early stages that I didn't used to do. I used to give them a completed plan, completed exterior. Now I involve them in the process. So as we start doing bubble diagrams, you get to look at that. They may not understand it. They may. As the plan comes together, they see that. The elevation we block out in 3D so we can move it around. Just the basics before we put all the gingerbread on it. They get to see it morph, and it's awesome. They love it. And it has had us stop in some places, go, oh, you know what? We should adjust that here, or we might, or you might want to. So it's great. It's a living process, I tell people, and it's all the way through like that.
That's great.
Yeah.
One of the neat things that just becomes more obvious in talking through all of this process is, obviously parallels to, our careers as a real estate agent, and I'm sure others in professional fields, is that, when it comes to hiring agents, a lot of times people just think like, oh, I just need to put it in the MLS, or, I could easily think, oh, when I need someone to draw my plans, I just need someone to draw my plans. But what I'm hearing, and it's like you're plugging into this expertise where it's like, you're like this, okay, how do you live? What is the feel here? What is, it's the pros make things look easy, and that's always going to be the problem.
And one thing I always tell people, Rob, is that I am no smarter than the next designer to me. I go, but you put 34 years behind me now of doing this. There's not many people that have that behind them. And that experience is invaluable. I mean, absolutely invaluable. So I tell my clients that too. How did you catch this? How'd you do this? Because I've been doing it so long and I've seen that 1,000 times. Yeah. So, it's great to have that experience. I don't think there's anything like it. So
when you talk about Pinnacle, you say we.
Yes.
Who's we? What's behind the scenes?
So we got a great crew because everybody is so multi-talented there. I mean, Claire does architecture, interior design, furnishing. We got Ping, who's a lead architect and nuts and bolts guy, the guy that makes the crazy stuff that we do happen for real. Cole, he's he's also architecture designer. And I like people to be able to look at a project in a custom home and be able to do all of it. So it's great. And then at the end, Helen's the boss and she runs our whole place. So,
yeah, there's that.
Yeah, yes. Yes.
Beautiful. Cool. So how can people get a hold of you?
You can, my office is 9484 West Flamingo, 215 in Flamingo, 370, top floor above Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Everybody knows where that is. Our phone number is 702-940-6920. You can also email at info@lvpas.com.
Fantastic. It's been great, Quinn. I look forward to seeing more of your projects. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.